has been taken down, and her chief of staff, Psychot Chakrabarti, said on Thursday the congressman's office would provide a new one. So yeah, she's going to flesh this out, and I think we're going to see a lot more from her on this front. So, meanwhile, on the other hand, we have Derek Thompson using a dispatch from Davos to frown on a Green New Deal that doesn't rely heavily enough on market-based solutions. It's okay. It's okay, bud. The market-based solutions here. Saying, quote, but any realistic plan to decarbonize the U.S. economy will almost surely come from the sort of commercial technology breakthroughs that tend to come from private entrepreneurs tinkling. You could say tinkling all over the world, but tinkering with the products of publicly funded research. And to reduce the global emissions, the United States will have to share its eco-technology with China, Southeastern Asian countries, and African nations. In other words, saving the American middle class might take leftist intervention, but saving the world will require something very much like free market globalism, is what he says. Derek Thompson of the Atlantic's Business Center, I believe. Yeah. So yeah, that's right. The government helped create the internet, which we all used to do posts on and many other things, as well as technology that makes the hardware to post on it possible, plus send people to the moon. But it needs to really the commercial innovation of the entrepreneurial geniuses at Verizon. Like, I really have a hard time seeing that. I really have a hard time seeing this, like, not, like, the government is incapable of doing something right. Like, the fact that if they actually put their effort, if they're actually well-funded and ethically funded towards putting together a proper Green New Deal type solution, I think it's very feasible to see that they could get it done. Like, in the green, what the government's been able to put and to produce throughout its history has made people's lives better and in a more fair way, much more often than anything that private entrepreneurship has produced. Like, people love their Medicare, people love their Social Security, people hate their cable guy, and they hate their airline providers. That's pretty much how it works. Like, we all say, oh, Steve Jobs, he's a really nice guy. Or Tim Cook or whatever. But they all collect your data, they all profit off of it, and they're all not looking out for you. Like, since the government is not really a, like, independent corporation, they're accountable to some degree. I think they should obviously be made more accountable than they already are. It's better. It's not perfect, especially with the level of accountability, the lack of accountability that we have in the government today, but it is way, way better than corporations, Mark Zuckerberg, and, like, I don't want the future of the world in the hands of lizard boy Mark Zuckerberg by any stretch of the imagination. All right, just that simple there. All right, yeah. So Jonathan Chait had a take on this as well, saying, quote, he's a liberal pundit, for those of you who don't know, at New York, not even New Yorker, but just New York. Enacting an aggressive climate change policy faces two large obstacles. The first is that every aspect of policy contains a multitude of knotty technocratic challenges. It entails developing programs to wring carbon emissions out of the power sector, buildings, transportation, agriculture, and changing laws at the federal, state, and local levels. The difficulties faced by the long-developing bullet train in California, a state entirely controlled by Democrats, show how challenging it can be to carry out reforms that require buy-in from lots of stakeholders. He also says the second problem is political. Any national level response quickly runs into the fact that even if the Democrats gain full control of the government in 2021, and even if they abolish the filibuster or find a way to design a bill that can get around it, they will need the votes of moderate or conservative Democrats from fossil fuel producing states, the overrepresentation of gas and oil in coal producing areas, and a Senate that helped kill a modest energy tax under Bill Clinton and a more ambitious cap and trade program under Barack Obama. So Chief's first point raises a valid concern, saying this has to be done right. This has to be done right if it's going to be done, but the prospect of facing knotty technocratic challenges should not be a deal breaker for any potential action. That's another good point here from Paul Bless to kind of counter that, because the stakes are too high to worry about that. We really need to get past that kind of ideology, because that's just going to slow us down. That's going to put us in it. That's going to make 12 years seem awfully short, to put it one way, if we continue to worry about these technocratic challenges. Like, the time for that is over, and there's certain amounts of red tape that need to be got through. So, yeah. And we're talking about humanity here, folks. And Chait's example of actually the problems plaguing the high-speed rail provides a good way to avoid that. Actually include those stakeholders in the process rather than prioritizing the needs of the people who make more money, and don't rush construction when planning isn't in place. Like, actually do it sensibly and focus about stakeholders, not the rich people funding the venture here. So Chait's second objection speaks to the left versus center of the Democratic Party debate and the now never-ending primary style battle that we had before. As conservative Democrats, historically speaking, are just as much of an obstacle to progress as Republicans and industry groups. They're why a single-payer program was never seriously pursued by the Obama White House, why we didn't get a public option, and Joe Manchin shot a bullet through the Waxman market cap and trade bill, the last serious comprehensive climate bill to come before Congress, and that's why the left wants to primary and replace bad Democrats. Not Jonathan Chait. Jonathan Chait here is the one who's supporting these type of people and who is actually getting in the way of progress. Who's creating kind of here, if you know what I'm saying, the same issues that he's bemoaning at this time. So yeah, what the Green New Deal proposes is the Democratic Party stops compromising with itself before the negotiations even start, and by putting this plan out there years before it becomes legislatively viable, the necessary details can be filled in and adjustments made in order to build support to make it politically viable. Like, it's anyone who says this is going to happen overnight is stupid or crazy, or stupid and crazy, or like being dishonest on purpose, because like that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen for at least another 2 years, probably more. And yeah, that's just truth. In the meantime, there's going to be a lot of details filled in. And so far, though, I like what I'm seeing. I really like the kind of broad reforming perspective it comes out from. It's not just like we're gonna do we're just gonna cap and trade. No, we're gonna create a whole new world that's actually gonna combat this change and make sure that, oh, by the way, on the side, all people can contribute to this economy. All right. Yeah, so Virginia Governor Ralph Northam, as we change from one impending disaster to another, the second impending disaster being whenever Ralph Northam opens his mouth, gave his first interview to the Washington Post, since it revealed that his medical school yearbook entry contained a photo of two men dressed in blackface and Klan robes, after which Northam apologized, then gave a press conference in which he denied being either person in the photo, but admitting to wearing blackface another time. Yeah, so it's just a crazy situation that's happened in Virginia. But he gave a second interview just this morning to CBS's Gayle King on Sunday morning. And oh boy, is this some crazy, crazy stuff. Yeah, so here's the incredibly awkward interview that he gave to one Gayle King. We're going to rewind that real quick.
Well, it has been a difficult week, and you know, if you look at Virginia's history, we're now at the 400-year anniversary. Just 90 miles from here, in 1619, the first indentured servants from Africa landed on our shores in Old Point Comfort, what we call now Fort Monroe. And while
also known as slavery.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you know, while we have made a lot of progress in Virginia, slavery has ended. Schools have been desegregated. We have ended the Jim Crow laws, easier access to voting. It is abundantly clear that we still have a lot of work to do, and I really think this week raised a level of awareness in the Commonwealth and in this country that we haven't seen certainly in my lifetime.
That isn't the best. I will have to say the reaction for this would actually be pretty strong, as Northam really kind of continues to lose political support, just proving that he does not get this whole race thing. It's going to be rough for him down the road. Although I do still think he's gonna have to tough it out. But yeah, now to a much more important story. Well, I shouldn't say that. It is an important story. But the story we were just talking about, but it's such a political dullard, unbelievable that he still thinks like, oh yeah, the indentured servants coming across the border, they only had 7 years of slavery and they were free after that. Like, what? You're talking like that's like, how could you feel comfortable saying that? Just like, you have to think about that in your mind. Like, am I going to say indentured servants here? Am I going to go with slavery? I'm facing a racial scandal right now. I almost had to resign a week ago. Maybe I just go with the safer no, I'm going to go with indentured servitude. Yeah, but it just shows you where that guy's at. That guy's head at is, it is incredibly rough to be Ralph Northam, or be really any politician, Democratic politician, who's worn blackface in Virginia. You really imagine something like that would happen on SNL probably actually happened at this point, with the amount of people who have come out and said they are actually wearing blackface. But yeah, it has been the end of a pretty rough and tumble week, but we have some good news for you. Jeff Bezos might be calling it quits with his big deal in New York. So that's pretty good. The Washington Post, also owned by Bezos, reported that on Friday, Amazon is reconsidering its plan to establish a second headquarters in New York City after local politicians and activists essentially crapped all over the idea of giving the richest man in the world billions of dollars in subsidies and carte blanche to uproot an entire neighborhood of Queens. So, yeah, it sounds like a very smooth idea from Amazon Cuomo and Amazon Bill de Blasio. Yeah, they're calling him Amazon Cuomo right now, because he did say he would change his name to Amazon Cuomo, if that's what... He literally did say that. I'm saying that right now, and just sounding worse and worse. He did say he would change his name to Amazon Cuomo. From Andrew Cuomo to Amazon Cuomo, if Amazon went to New York. Oh, my God. My God. So, yeah. Saying, quote, Amazon, this is for Washington Post, Amazon.com is reconsidering its plan to bring 25,000 jobs to a new campus in New York City following a wave of oppositions from local politicians, according to people familiar with the company's thinking. The company has not leased or purchased office space for the project, making it easy to withdraw the commitment, saying, quote, the question is whether it's worth it if politicians in New York don't want the project, especially with how people in Virginia and Nashville have been so welcoming. Said one person familiar with the company's plan. So pretty much all they're saying is, boo-hoo, they're being too mean. We can't just take the deal that we got that was incredibly good anyway. But yeah, I'm glad they're leaving. It's better for the people in New York in the long haul. And that is, yeah, that would have been, I would not have liked to live in Queens, that part of Queens where the Amazon building was in that case. Because, that would not have been the funniest thing in the world at all, because just the incredible stuff. So pretty much Amazon is sore that the people in New York are not rolling out the red carpet for them because they don't trust Amazon they don't trust Amazon at all and don't like the way the company has actually, this is interesting here, have circumnavigated these normal regulatory frameworks that are very important. So so there was a bunch of city council hearings on this about the HQ2 possibility deal. It was a little contentious, but did little to shed light about what will change, if anything, regarding the subsidies Amazon is getting for locating its office in Long Island City. Representatives from the NYC Economic Development Corporation and Amazon were also criticized for the decision to cut the city council out of the process, forgoing the city's uniform land use procedure. In favor of a state-led general project plan. So it pretty much went around the people of New York in the situation and tried to pretty much give it all to the big boy Bezos and let him do whatever he wants with the city. So yeah, and the gall they have to be like, well, New York isn't being welcoming enough to us, instead of just putting their head down, is disgraceful. In the past 2 weeks, the state Senate nominated an outspoken Amazon critic to a board where he could potentially veto the deal. City council members, for the second time, aggressively challenged the company executives at a hearing where activists booed and unfurled anti-Amazon banners. Key officials, including freshman U.S. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez of New York, whose district borders the proposed Amazon site,